to have our chapel speaker today, Ms. Overstreet.
Thank you for choosing such appropriate and wonderful readings for this talk today. When Dr. Smith put out a request on Monday for a volunteer to speak today, I thought, well, why not? I felt confident because I, like you guys are doing probably right now, have composed many a chapel talk in my head as I've sat down there in those chairs. I've got one where I talk about how our concept that there is such a thing as an us or a them is a total fallacy. One that asks you to turn down all the societal voices in your head about what you can and can't do as a woman. And another one about religion, enumerating what I believe to be its shortcomings and also its strengths. However, since I only get one shot at this, I thought I would try to distill all of these into one chapel talk that focuses on a common theme in all of them, and that's questions. Sitting in a room full of educators and students, I imagine that a common definition for education is something like acquisition of knowledge. But we as faculty know, and I'm sure you're starting to understand, that learning is not about gaining knowledge, but about learning how to ask questions. We teachers do it all the time. We're constantly asking ourselves, is this activity helping the class meet the goals that we've set for it? Or is there a more effective way to help these students understand this concept? And so forth. And we teachers have a passion for learning, and we want to pass it on to you because most of you will be in school for 12, 16, and maybe 21 years, but really that's still only a third of your life. So you need to learn how to become your own teacher and to carry with you the desire and skills that will make you into a lifelong learner so that you can ask your own questions and so that you won't need us around anymore. I believe our goals for you are to help you go from questions like, in what year was the Voters' Rights Act passed? And what events during the Civil Rights Movement led to the Voters' Rights Act? To questions more like, what social, economic, and political factors led to the beliefs that Black Americans were somehow inferior to white Americans? Or how are these beliefs the same or different now? And then eventually the ultimate goal is to get you to ask yourself questions like, what untrue beliefs do I hold that might be based on society and not really on my own personal experience and examination? Or how can I make changes in these beliefs first in myself and then in the world around me? Because the truth is, if all of the knowledge that you're gaining now isn't leading towards wisdom about yourself and about the world around you, then it's an empty pursuit. I imagine that you guys have realized this already, that what's important in life is less about what you know and more about understanding. But questions are important too, not just for understanding, but because they are the fundamental element for change. Often the beliefs of the majority are based on truth and experience. But when Gandhi spoke of the minority of one, he understood that just because the majority of people believe something doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Had not a small group of people in India questioned the belief that not all men were created equal under the British Crown, Native Indians may never have gained the rights that they possess today. And had not a small group of people questioned the notion that women were too delicate or uninterested in politics to want to vote, we might not have had that privilege now. So ask yourself, what are your questions? Where is it that the majority voice doesn't ring true for you? Is it in your peers' idea that men's approval decides a woman's worth and social status, and therefore women should seek to be accommodating or attractive to them? Is it in the belief that one political party is inherently more moral than another one? Is it in the overall apathy of your friends towards school or politics or community? It only takes a few people to stand up for what is ethically right, and if those people are persistent, eventually change can come. Not just on an individual level, but on a societal one. But that all begins with questioning the status quo. I've been asking you to question commonly held beliefs and to ask the hard questions of others and of yourself. And I believe that's important, but not just in academics or in affecting change in society, but in your spiritual life. The spiritual life, so to speak, is not about getting an answer. The spiritual life is about spending a lifetime asking questions. Why am I here? Is there a God? If there is, or if there isn't, how does that change how I act on a daily basis? What am I basing my values and decisions on? Should I believe in something I can't prove? Why do I believe these things? Did I decide them for myself, or did someone else decide them for me? Am I being cynical or demanding too much from religion? These are all questions I've had and I've asked and continue to ask myself. If there ever comes a point in your life where you say, well, that's it, I've figured it out, this is the truth, Now I can just sit back and enjoy the rest of my life without those pesky doubts, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. The spiritual life is a journey, whether you believe in God or not, and if you sit down on that bench for the rest of your life, you're missing it. Even if your spiritual journey ends up taking you down paths that later you find out to be false, at least you're seeking, and that's the point. A couple of years ago, after we had been through a unit about Hinduism and some other religions, I had a student ask me, what if I believe some elements of Christianity but not some other parts, and I believe in some of Hinduism but not all of it? Am I allowed to do that? Combine them? And I answered her this way, a little bit nervous about angry phone calls from parents. Of course you can. That's one of the important parts of pursuing spirituality, is finding your own truth. Your views probably won't be totally accepted by some organized religions if you decide to piece together your own faith, but I think it's safe to say that any good minister will encourage you to ask questions about what you believe and don't believe. That's what religion is all about. And I'll add this now to you. Any religion or person who tells you that by you asking tough questions you are somehow bad or immoral, then they are suspect. Because if truth really is truth, if there is an absolute truth out there, then your questioning of it will not make it any less true. There's no need for people to feel threatened unless your questioning raises doubts in their own minds. And that applies to those of us who believe in a God and those of us who do not. You are responsible for your own beliefs and evolution. Do not let someone else's own insecurity or fear of rejection keep you from understanding yourself and the world around you better. You owe it to yourself to explore the rich world of beliefs and possibilities out there. And I mean that for atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, Christians, all human beings. We're the only animal that we know of that can contemplate our own existence. I think that we should embrace that ability and question our understanding of it in all its complexities. Questioning should be a collective endeavor as well. One of the most destructive habits of our society is an unwillingness to enter into discussions about what we believe, who we are, and how we can solve some of our common problems. On one side of this coin, some people decide their opinion and they know the solutions and are unwilling to listen to any other opinion about the matter and are immediately defensive when questioned. On the other side of that coin is the unwillingness to enter into a discussion for fear of not seeming politically correct or not seeming open-minded enough, and therefore just throwing up our hands and changing the subject with a, let's just agree to disagree. But both are really dangerous. One causes intolerance and stereotyping on both sides and an immediate defensiveness that can never lead to change or compromise. And the other has us resigning ourselves to never being able to find solutions together, since the conversations to get us there might be a little too uncomfortable. But neither gets us closer to wisdom or enlightenment. Remember that all of this questioning is not meant to make you feel superior to someone else or to put someone else's beliefs down. The goal is to help you seek truth and wisdom. So remember that questions asked in grace and love and real curiosity and in the spirit of finding common ground usually get much more genuine and open responses than those asked in hostility and in the spirit of proving someone wrong. You have the opportunity as young women now to overcome your fear of questioning. It's so easy as we get older to stop asking questions out of fear of looking silly for asking or out of fear of having to admit later that we were wrong in the first place. I've often had this fear. As you know, I'm a bit outspoken, and that can lead to some moments where I have to say with just as much passion today the very opposite of something that I said just as passionately a year ago. I fear that it will make me look too flighty and far too changeable. But here's the thing, from that first passionate speech until today, I've done a year of living. I've had new experiences, asked new questions, had discussions with y'all, read a new book, and some new evidence or new reasoning or thought has presented itself to me that has discounted my original statement. I shouldn't be afraid to say I was wrong. I couldn't have made the statement I make today a year ago. I didn't have all the information. If anything, the willingness to admit that you are wrong only shows that you are continuing to learn and grow. Questioning is a lifelong process, or it should be. So ask away. Question your own habits. Question society's accepted beliefs. Question your teachers. Question me. Let's make it a group endeavor. then decide for yourself, knowing that your life will be full of these answers that will continue to lead you to new and exciting questions, and that is as it should be. Thank you.